Hi, and welcome to Studio SN. My name is Sara Naumann, and today we're going to experiment with Crackle Paint. Today I want to show you a card that I made with Kroma Crackle. And you can see on my background piece here, this has already been painted and crackled and accented with gold. So this is actually 3 layers. It's the acrylic paint, which is that teal, the Kroma Crackle, and then highlighted with mica gloss, with the gold mica gloss. Super easy to do. Let me show you what I've used. Now, Kroma Crackle, if you haven't already seen it at your local store or maybe seen it online or tried it yourself, this is what the tube looks like. And now you may think with a crackling medium, it's either a 2-part process where you get like kind of a weathered wood effect and you need to do a 2-step procedure with it, or a colored paint with a crackling medium in it. And this is different. And what's cool about it is that it is a clear, well, it's a semi-opaque gel, so it's a clear gel. And you can custom color it before you put it onto your surface. Or you can allow it to dry clear and then add color on top of it, which is what I did. And it works on wood, fabric, canvas, metal, and of course, paper. So let me show you what I did. I've started with a piece of cardstock. Pretty heavy weight because it's going to take a couple of layers of a wet medium. And I painted it with 2 layers of acrylic paint. The acrylic paint that I'm using is Art Advantage. I picked this up at my local craft store, and this is in bright aqua green. So a couple of coats of that, let it dry, and then I need to come back with my crackle. And I apply this with a palette knife. Now, if you don't have a palette knife, you can always use a spatula. You can use even a butter knife. But if you don't have a palette knife, you may consider investing in one. I didn't think I needed one until I needed it for an art class, and then I found that I used it for a lot of things. Not only applying paint and medium like this, but also for mark making and using it with my inks as well. So it's a really versatile tool. Now I need to just squeeze on some of the Kroma Crackle, and you can see that it is a clear gel, goes like that. And then I'll spread it on with my palette knife. Now I need to put it about, I'd say about 1 millimeter thick. The reason you want to use a palette knife or something similar and not a paintbrush is because a brush is going to make the application really, really thin. And the thinner the application, the smaller or perhaps non-existent the cracks will be. So if you make it really thick, it's going to have much bigger cracks. If you do really thin, they will be small, fine cracks. So I'm just going to put this on, spread it on, and I usually kind of hold it up a little bit to see if I've got enough on there, if I'm getting good coverage. And in this case, I didn't cover the entire piece of paper. I let some of the edges just be painted. And then just clean off my palette knife, and I need to let this dry. Now, you need to let it dry kind of a long time. I let mine dry overnight and ended up with this really cool effect. So let me take out my crackling piece and bring in my already crackled. And you can see on here that I've got some very fine cracks as well as some larger ones. And I like having the variation so that it's not completely uniform. I let this dry overnight to get this effect, and then it's really ready to work with. Now, if you have it really, really thick, or if you live in an area that's perhaps really humid, it can take longer. So keep an eye on it. I don't think it should take longer than 3 days. Just letting it sit. But again, that would be if it's quite thick. With something like this, overnight. Now they do suggest that you use a sealer on this, an acrylic fluid medium. And I didn't happen to have any acrylic fluid medium, so I used diamond glaze. And it worked really well. And I contacted the company later and said, I used diamond glaze. And they said, oh, that's fine. So for card making, no problem. Really, the sealer is to protect the cracks. And if you were to, do this as a fine art project, then you may want to invest in something a little bit more professional grade. But diamond glaze did the trick for me. So I can use this as it is. As I mentioned, it does dry clear if you don't mix in another medium with it beforehand. So you can, or dries white, so you can leave it white if you want to, or you can color on top. And I decided to color on top just to do a little bit of highlighting. And I'm using a mica gloss from Judykins. I'm just going to put a little bit of it onto my craft sheet. And it's a really high gloss gold. I love it. This is one of my favorite colors of the mica gloss, and one of my favorite supplies to use. And I'm just going to ink up my little brayer and then go over the top. I'm not trying to cover the whole thing perfectly, but just really to hit some of the highlights and get a varied look. So that's all I need to do after I have it sealed with my diamond glaze or other sealer. And I might even have some of it going off the side. You can really play and experiment with this part. So just add my mica gloss on here. Again, let this dry. While I have my mica gloss on my craft sheet and I've got it on my brayer, I also decided to do my background paper, and I just took a piece of that same cardstock and then continue doing the brayering on here so that I could get a custom coordinated background. So I'm going to mop up some of this color on here, and then let me just bring back in my original card and show it to you again. So I didn't even mat that crackle piece. I just trimmed it down after it had dried, and I matted it onto that piece of mica glossed, if that's a, can that be a verb? Mica glossed background paper. Wrapped a bit of ribbon around here, and then also on a piece of the mica glossed background paper I did this little stamp, and this one is from Scarlet Empress. I love this one. This just works beautifully on so many different card designs. So matted that onto white, added it up on foam tape, and I think I have a really simple and pretty card. Now, because there is a significant dry time involved with the Kroma Crackle, what I tend to do is do great big pieces using different colors of acrylic paint so that I have a nice big batch of backgrounds to work with when I'm ready to make my card. So this is how you can use Kroma Crackle to make a card background. I hope you've enjoyed today's segment. For more inspiration, please do stop by my website at saranaumann.com. Thanks again, and I will see you next time.